Hey, this is Rich, and welcome back to Garage Q. So I tried to get some fasteners for the buggy, but Fastenal is closed today. Thanks a lot, COVID. I mean, it's a good thing. It's safe. Stay closed. It's safe. So I'm going to order some stuff up online tonight. I did, wait right there, get one of these handy dandy thread checkers. This is metric, and this was very helpful in determining what size fasteners, bolts, I need. So I'm not able to really show any progress today on the buggy, which kind of sucks, but I will give a quick tour here. And just a tiny bit of background about me. I am definitely not a mechanic. I am not a fabricator, but I grew up working on cars, and I do the brakes on the cars and suspension stuff. I put a lift on my Jeep when I had it. So I grew up around cars. I know cars a bit, but still plenty to learn on this buggy project. And definitely been reaching out to a lot of people for help. I've already had some awesome people reach out and offer some assistance, which has been great. So anyway, here's a quick tour of the garage and show you what we're working with. All right, so starting off with the overview, here is the entire thing. So this tour won't take all that long. Coming in, first on the left, I got my ladders. Just a little bitty ladder and then a bigger folding ladder behind it. Pretty handy. I've got my little furniture moving dolly thingies. Those are actually pretty handy for moving around engines and transmissions. I've already used them for that. Sawhorses, use them for all sorts of stuff. Got a portable workbench that I built years ago out of some scrap wood, and still using the daylights out of it. It's heavy as hell, but it's what I put my miter saw on. Got my folding mower. The folding thing is actually pretty slick. It hasn't leaked yet, so I will continue storing it in the vertical position. Thing actually runs awesome. Moving on, we've got the floor pan of the buggy, and then behind that is the big kayak. Great place for the kayak. Kind of limits access to my shelves that I built. So always trying to achieve higher storage density, I added these shelves, and those are for my spray paint, cleaning supplies, brake fluid, yada yada. And it's been incredibly handy for that, except for when it's buried behind stuff. That's a little tough. And then moving on, got the engine stored under a nice sheet, just to keep that guy from getting dust and sawdust all over it. And of course, the back of the buggy is right there. My collection of straps. So I always struggle with where to put these, and finally ended up putting them on a rope. And of course, no garage would be complete without various signage, and I've got signs all over the place. This part here is near and dear to my heart. I've actually had these organizers for years, since my first house. So my first house, the previous owner had left a whole bunch of screws and hardware and other small stuff in baby jars. And I got sick of the baby jars breaking when I dropped them. So I transitioned everything into here. So when I'm doing projects and I'm going for a rustic look, I can dig out, ancient screws that they're weathered naturally. I don't have to weather them, which is nice. And I've got other, more modern bits in there that I've thrown in over the years. But in general, when I start a project, it's the first place I go to. I'd much rather find it here than have to drive out to the store to get it. So up there, I got some clamps, got my push sticks. Big shout out to April Wilkerson for showing us how to build that one. That's the world's awesomest push stick, and actually is a pretty awesome design. I've already used it, and it's super handy. A lot of control. I've got my crappy other push sticks there that I don't actually use anymore, but just in case, I've got them. Got my ancient contractor table saw. Not exactly a fine woodworking device, but it cuts wood. it does what I need it to do. I'm certainly not a master woodworker by any stretch of the imagination. Almost glossed over, got tank, gas tank for the buggy. Need to do some dry fit up of that guy and see what needs to happen there. Moving on, got the toolbox. This is not a fancy toolbox by any stretch. It's not a Matco Snap-on awesomeness. I definitely did not pay thousands of dollars for it, and that should be obvious. But it gets the job done. So the top here I actually just reorganized recently. I can find stuff now, which is kind of awesome. But stepping back a little bit, got my traffic lights, and I have a project planned for each of those, and maybe those will be some future episodes, but for now they're just kind of up there for looks. And then the door into the house, got some signage there. Moving over here, we've got the Workbench. This is Workbench number 1. Built this pretty soon after getting the house, and added the TV just last week. And the TV has been an awesome upgrade. It's great to throw some YouTube or some Netflix up there, and have background entertainment while I'm doing other stuff. And you can see I've got my plier storage up there. I just built that too, and that's been a serious upgrade. It's following Jamie Hyman's first order retrievability principle. I can just go over there, put hands on it, and not have to dig through drawers to get to it. And hanging up here, I've got face shields and ear protection and the other PPE. And then I've got sanding belts for my cheapo Harbor Freight sander, which has actually turned out to be super handy. Shelf oh crap over here. Got a bunch of box tools up on top. I don't use those super often, but when I need them, I need them. Down below, I've got totes for braces, for gloves, random stuff, and then my old toolbox, an older toolbox, and just random stuff. And then over here, got my trusty air compressor. So this is actually plumbed ghetto style up to the ceiling, where I've got a reel. And the reel is incredibly handy. I've been really happy with that. That's been a serious upgrade. Before I used to have to drag out a hose, put it back, and it just kind of sucked. So this is super quick. I can just pull it down from the ceiling, do whatever I need to do, put it back, life is good. And then moving here is the newest Workbench. Just built this with my dad a month ago, 2 months ago, I don't know, recently. And I cleared off everything from the old Workbench and put it on the new Workbench. So I need to do something with that. In fact, that's probably going to be my project today. Got some ideas on what to do with this, but basically this thing is a disaster, and I want some actual usable space. That would be kind of awesome. I don't have a great place to store scrap wood, so I'm not sure what to do with that 2x6, but yeah, we'll figure something out. And got pegboard over here. It's a little sparse because I've been trying to kind of move things over to the new Workbench and find better places for everything. Here is a silly clock I built years ago, and out of an old saw blade, and still works, still runs. It actually fell down recently. All the nuts popped off of it. It all fell apart. I was about to chuck it, but I actually glued it all back together, and well, it's back in action. Takes a licking, tick, tick, tick. All right, so moving on, we've got the shelves, and this is where I've got all my oils and antifreeze, and real simple system. If it's got an X on it, means it is used and needs to go to the dump. Here I've got my not so fancy welder, but it works, it sticks metal together. And I realized even after my first welding project, my arms got burned. I was a slacker, so went out and actually got some sleeves so that that won't happen again. Safety first, yada yada. And I've got some more pieces for the buggy, all the The engine transmission mount stuff is down here. Got the, you've already seen the transmission. But over here, this is kind of cool. This is a toolbox that my grandfather had, and he used it when he was in the Air Force. And I think that's pretty cool. So I use it for my electrical supplies. I've had it for years, and never gonna get rid of that. That'll always be here. And then small things I've done to the garage. Notice the cracks here, the expansion joints, or whatever you want to call them. I filled them in because, oh my God, I hate sawdust and other stuff getting stuck down in those cracks. I hate it when I'm trying to roll across with a stool. Got really tired of that. So after some research on Garage Journal, found an awesome product called Henry's Feather Finish. You might also be able to find it under Ardex. It's sold under both names. But that worked out super awesome. And now I can roll across there and I don't get hung up. Stuff doesn't get caught up in there. Sweeping up is so much easier now. Oh, I hate it. So that was a big upgrade. And of course, I got the buggy in the middle of the garage. All right, YouTube, help me out with the paint on this. So obviously what's on there is flaking. So I'm going to wire brush off what I can. My thought was to just spray it with some high temp paint, some VHT. If there's something better I can do, let me know. Tell me down in the comments what you've done on your buggy. Thanks. All right, so that's the tour of the garage. And once again, the theme is, if I can do it, if I can build this buggy in a little 2-car garage, then so can you. In fact, I'm sure it's doable in a 1-car garage. But hey, I've got a 2-car garage, so I'm gonna use it. So any questions, ask down in the comments, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.